here is it is also one of the high biomass producing crop among the major cropping systems of India after rice and maize. It is also one of the huge biomass producing crop, having 108 million tons of residue annually with a trash load of 8 to 10 tons per hectare. And the usual practice in the area is like trash burning, and especially in Maharashtra, if we could show the graph, there is around 57,000 fire events in the last year. So if we see the different research conservation technologies in terms of enhancing the soil organic carbon or residue management, most of the research so far in India has been focused on rice wheat cropping system. There is not much on the sugarcane cropping system, which is also having a huge biomass production annually. So with this background, our research at the ICAR National Institute of Abiotic Stress Management under the CRPCA, Conservation Research Platform for Conservation Agriculture, this study was uptaken to apprise the impacts of different resource conservation technology on soil biology and soil carbon retention and their interrelationship with the yield in the sugarcane cropping system. So this is the study site having vertical of sandy clay texture in a hot, semi-arid and scarcity zone it's categorized as. And the study started in July 2016. It was an Adsali crop of MS 10001. And first one is the Adsali, so harvested in 2018, followed by 4 attuned crops. So whatever result I'll be discussing here is after the harvest of the one fresh crop and after 4 attunes in 2022. So what was the change in terms of soil biology and soil organic carbon and its fractions after, before and after the 4 attunes under different treatments. So the experimental design was split. The first main plot was in terms of tillage, which was conventional tillage versus reduced tillage. In the conventional tillage, it was 2 deep plowings followed by 2 harrowings and 1 riser and furrow operation, whereas in reduced tillage, it was 1 plowing followed by 1 riser and furrow operation. In the subplot, it was residue burning, which is the traditional practice of the area, followed by the residue retention, whatever was produced in that treatment. And the nutrient management practice was in the subplot, which we applied in the ratoon crops. So 25% of whatever nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium was advised, 25% was applied as a band placement in basal treatment, and 75% in fertigation in further frequent applications, followed by N2 nutrient management practice 2, which was 50% as basal and 50% as fertigation, and N3 was 75% as basal and 25% fertigation. So we took the soil samples after the fourth ratoon from 0 to 15 and 15 to 30 centimeter and analyzed for several parameters, which I'll be discussing in the further slides. So the first one to see in terms of the yield, this is a long table just to make it like to the point. The reduced tillage with the 50% application of nutrient in basal as basal and the rest 50% through frequent fertigations in the standing crop has the overall, like this is a pooled analysis. So had the highest ratoon cane yield of 85 tons per hectare, and the B's to benefit is to cost ratio was also higher in this treatment as compared to the conventional agriculture. But if we see, I'll go one by one about the soil parameters what we took. So we took the analysis of soil enzymes, the dehydrogenase activity, alkaline phosphatase activity, and the beta glucosinase activity. So we could see in terms of reduced tillage, in terms of residue retention, and in terms of the nitrogen management also, the reduced tillage residue and the 50% as basal and rest 50% as fertigation had higher enzymatic activity in irrespective of the type of enzyme. It has the higher activity found in those treatments. And in 15 to 30 centimeter also the trend was similar, but a value was little bit lower. Also, we took the different soil microbial counts. So we discussed bacteria, fungi, and actinomycetes. And similarly, reduced tillage and residue retention had 50% of higher bacteria. The bacterial colonies were higher as compared to fungi and actinomycetes, irrespective of the treatments. So bacteria was comparatively high of 50%, whereas 40% fungi and 70% actinomycetes were found in reduced tillage and residue retention plots. And this might be due to the positive impact of residue retention to give the feed for the microbial population, and because versus the residue burning were leading to a loss of microbial population. This is the important one, which we took the total soil organic carbon and its fractions. So generally, we all know there are 4 fractions, very labile, labile, less labile, and non-labile fractions. So higher soil, in terms of the total soil organic carbon, reduced tillage had 12% higher SOC over the 6 years of cropping season versus the conventional tillage. And the residue retention had 17 to 63% of higher carbon pools, because if we see the very labile, it was around 4 to 5 megagram of carbon per hectare. And labile and less labile are more or less 2 to 3 megagram carbon per hectare increase, whereas non-labile was in the range of around 14 to 16. If we consider the residue retention part, residue retention had the higher increase, which was 63%, 34 and 15% higher in terms of labile, less labile, and non-labile respectively. But overall, the passive pool, which composed of the less labile and non-labile carbon pool, it was higher, around 77%, as compared to the active pool, which is very labile and labile only, which indicates that there is this increase in carbon in the passive pool leads to the carbon sequestration in this sugarcane cropping system, because right now all the like a majority of climate mitigation focus is on how to sequester the carbon in arable cropping system. So this indicates like over the 6 years there is also a chance of increasing the carbon in the passive pool in terms of carbon sequestration. We also did a study of carbon retention efficiency, like how much cumulative carbon we are putting into the soil and how much the soil under different treatments are able to retain it. It was, if you see the graph, the highest CRE was in the residue retention and the residue reduced tillage plot, whereas in the conventional practice, which is the extreme left one, the conventional tillage under the residue burning, obviously there is a loss of around 50%. We also did a mineralizable carbon study, which fitted a first order exponential model, and we also only did it for residue retention because it was having a significant impact and a higher proportion of carbon we could see in that one. So for 0 to 30 centimeter depth, the residue retention plots had a mineralizable carbon of amount 619 microgram of carbon dioxide carbon per gram of the soil, and the mineralization was highest for the initial 3 days of incubation as usual. For carbon sequestration study also we could just see the reduced tillage and the residue retention had an amount of 5.23 megagram carbon per hectare as compared to the conventional tillage and the residue burning, which was 1.73 megagram carbon per hectare, and that was in the loss. So residue retention plots under reduced tillage exhibited a higher rate of carbon sequestration, up to 0.87 megagram carbon per hectare per year over the other treatments. So to conclude this one, the enzymatic and microbial activities were strongly influenced by the tillage, residue retention, and nutrient management practices. And of several pools of SOC, whatever we analyzed of the 4 pools, the higher proportion was found in the non-labile carbon, indicating a higher soil carbon sequestration potential in that soil. 50% of the recommended dose of fertilizer what we applied as the basal maybe provided the initial boost to the crop growth and the microbial activities, whereas rest 50% applied through fertigation in subsequent practices help in sustaining the crop growth through synchronized supply of plant and nutrient demand. Intensive cropping systems such as sugarcane, even for longer period with reduced tillage and residue retention practices, will result in net increase of 5.23 megagram carbon per hectare, thereby a process of carbon dioxide emission reduction of 4.23 megagram carbon per hectare than conventional practice, which is conventional tillage and the residue burning. So even under a hot semi-arid region of the verticils, growing sugarcane cropping system with these practices will be sustainable in the long-term practice. We also demonstrating these plots to various visitors, distinguished visitors, and farmers and students who have also taken many short-term courses and the training programs, and these are already published in like popular article kind of thing for Maharashtra to get the farmers know about it. So thank you so much. Thank you for giving the opportunity, and I'll be happy to take any questions after the discussions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pradhan, for very nice and very crucial presentation. As I discussed, being conservation agriculture practices needs to be implemented. I think this is a very good research, the NIASM at this juncture. And as you are aware, the sock stock maintenance is also very important under the semi-arid, hot arid climatic conditions. So any question pertaining to these studies, it will be welcome. Any questions? Any clarification if you need? So if there are no questions, thank you, Dr. Pradhan. Okay, okay. Thank you, Dr. Pradhan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for nice presentation. Now I will request Dr. Rafaela Roseto from Brazil to present her paper on utilization of Venice, amendment, consequences and perspective. Of course, Venice is a byproduct of our ethanol industry. So before that, I would like to introduce our guest lecturer. I will give the brief background of academic background of her. In 1981, graduation in agronomy engineering, particularly in Agronomy College, SP University, Sao Paulo, Brazil. In 1987, Master in Energy in Agriculture, Nuclear Energy in Agriculture Center, USP, University of Sao Paulo, Brazil. In 1994, she obtained a PhD in Soils and Plant Nutrition. Then 2012, she became a postdoc period in the University of Florida, US. Professional experience since 1994 until now, scientific researcher in AIC, Agronomic Institute of Campinas, Agriculture Secretary to Sao Paulo State Government, 2002 to 2007, head of Regional Centro Saul APTA and Agriculture Secretary SAA. 2020 until now, he is a head of JU Experimental Station, Agronomic Institute, Sugarcane Research Center, IAC, Agriculture Secretary to SAO, Brazil. Her specialization is in soil fertility and sugarcane plant nutrition, fertilizers and residues used as a nutrient for sugarcane, and cycling of elements in soil, plant, and atmosphere in sugarcane cultivation. Environmental issues regarding sugarcane cultivation. She is also a member of different councils and associations, member of bioenergy program from FAP ESP from Brazil, Vice President of STAB, Brazilian Society of Sugarcane Technologists, affiliated to ISSCT, International Society of Sugarcane Technologists since 1998 till now. She is also a member of ISSCT, International Society of Sugarcane Technologists and representative of Brazil in association, President of Irrigation and Fertigation in Sugarcane Group, and she is also Secretary of Bioenergy Society. She has a publication of 25 scientific papers and 20 book chapters associated with these publications. So thank you for this particularly very good contribution in the field of sugarcane research. I will now request you to present your paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for introducing me to the audience. Good morning, everyone. Let me say that it's a pleasure to be here, actually an honor to be in India, the country that I really love. Today, my presentation deals about utilization of vinasse as soil amendment, consequences, and perspectives. Some numbers from Brazil. Sugarcane in Brazil has huge numbers. The production the last season was 638.4 million tons of sugarcane. Sugar, 42.7 million tons. For intern consume, 10.5 million tons. And for export, 32.2 million tons. And ethanol, we produced 30.9 billion liters. For intern consume, 28.7, and for export, 2.2 billion liters. And also, sugar mills produced bioelectricity, 1,000 megawatts. That it means 3% of Brazil's energy matrix. Our yield was 75 tons per hectare as an average of 5 years. One cane plant plus 4 ratoons, and we produced 139.6 kilos of sucrose per tons of sugarcane. So huge numbers. And we have two main regions for sugarcane production in Brazil, the Northeast region and the Center-South region. In the Center-South is the main region. São Paulo state is the main state producing sugarcane, but both regions are very far from the Amazonian forest. Brazil has now 398 sugar mills in operation, 261 in the Central South region, and most plants produce sugar, ethanol, and bioelectricity, and therefore also produce wastes, including vinasse. During the sugar and ethanol processing, 9 different residues are generated, and all of them are either reused in the process or have economic value and are sold in a circular economy. So we can see for 1 ton of sugarcane, we produce around 110 kilos of sugar and 13 or 80 liters of ethanol, depending if it's a distillery or a sugar mill and a distillery joint. So we have the harvest residue, 170 kilos per ton of sugarcane, bagasse, 220 kilos per ton, and sugar mills use bagasse to produce energy. We have filter cake, 35 kilos per ton, use it as a fertilizer. Molasses, 26 kilos per ton of sugarcane, and it's used to produce ethanol. Then we have vinasse, 150 or 1,040 liters per ton of sugarcane. We have wastewater, and we have also ashes, 10 kilos per ton, and yeast recovery, 3.4 or 20.8 grams per tons is an average. And also CO2 yeast, the sugar mill sells to raise cattle, and CO2 they sell to produce beverage in the beverage industries. So what nobody says is that huge numbers means also huge problems or huge challenges. So we have per year around 142 million tons of bagasse, 22.8 million tons of filter cake, 6.5 million tons of ashes, 400 billion liters of vinasse, and 110 million tons of harvest residue. All these huge numbers means challenge to manage every year in the sugar mills. So vinasse is the residue from ethanol production. After the fermentation of the must, we have the wine. In the distillation of the wine, the alcohol is separated from the aqueous residue, which we call vinasse. Vinasse is an organic material rich in nutrients and energy. So the fermentation to produce ethanol can be done use cane juice in the distilleries, or molasses plus water, or molasses plus more juice, cane juice. So the vinasse that will be generated are different. So we have vinasse from cane juice, from molasses plus water, and molasses plus juice. And they differ in the concentration of soluble solids and nutrients. Vinasse is generated in different rates. In the distilleries, use sugarcane juice for fermentation. The generation is 14 to 17 liters of vinasse per liter of ethanol. In the distilleries with pre-concentration of the juice, the generation is 9 to 13 liters per liter of ethanol. And in the distilleries joint with sugar mill that use molasses plus water or molasses plus juice for fermentation, the generation is 10 to 14 liters per liter of ethanol. So the average is 13 liters of ethanol per liter 13 liters of vinasse per liter of ethanol. It means 400 billion liters of vinasse every season. And we have different types of vinasse too. The vinasse from the second generation ethanol, and the vinasse from the corn fermentation, and other materials like sorghum or cassava. So when we talk about vinasse, we need to know which kind of vinasse we are talking about. And also, we can concentrate this vinasse. In the concentration process, water is evaporated and recycled, and nutrients and organic matter are maintained. Concentrated vinasse is considered an organic fertilizer. It's not a residue anymore, and registered in the Agriculture Ministry, and is therefore a byproduct of ethanol. The composition of the vinasse is 93 to 97% water and 7 to 3% solids. And in the solids, 75% is organic matter, 25% in minerals. Organic matter enhances soil fertility and has an energy potential. And the mineral, 25% minerals, depending on the dose of the vinasse, we have the improved in soil fertility and sugarcane nutrition. So if you take a look in the concentration, in the characteristics of the different kind of vinasse, we know that the concentration is very variable. And we consider ranges of concentration. So the vinasse made by juice is less concentrated than vinasse made by molasses plus juice and molasses plus water. And so when we consider the vinasses for plant nutrition, we have to know the contents of potassium, nitrogen, calcium, magnesium, and sulfate, and all the nutrients. But let me show you the pH of this material. It's very acid, from 3.7 to 5, the range. But for all the vinasse, they are acid materials. If you look the organic fraction of the vinasse, we have high content of organic matter and at least carbon, organic carbon. And we have a little yeast and ethanol in the vinasse, and glycerol that has economic interest. And we have also organic acids. These organic acids are synthesized by plants and have functions of protection against pest attack, calcium load balancing, and maintenance of osmotic potential. So these organic acids that we find in the vinasse are from the sugarcane, are natural. But you can have also acetic and lactic acids that are generated during the process. And these acids, organic acids, they make difference when you use vinasse because they can enhance the growth of sugarcane. When you look the composition of the second generation vinasse and the first generation, we have some difference, mainly in the, not too much in the total solids and the glycerol and mannitol a little, but we have difference in the acids like acetic and butyric and lactic. And also we have phenolic compounds. So this means that we have to pay attention and apply this in the soil. When you see the pH is also acid, and the nutrient contents, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, are similar to the first generation vinasse. We can have also some sodium content, depend on the hydrolysis pretreatment, and can be higher than in vinasse, in second generation vinasse than in first generation vinasse. And we can have also heavy metals in vinasse from second generation. These elements that are above the limit from São Paulo State Environment Agency were arsenium, barium, chromium, cobalt, and nickel, and sometimes manganese, but it would be good if you need because manganese is a micronutrient. Second generation vinasse should still be better studied. There are few observations of the use of this vinasse in the field and the metals reactions in soils. So we need to study more this material. The concentration of these metals depends on the hydrolysis process of the cellulosic material, that I mean is the bagasse and the straw. Here we have the composition of the corn vinasse compared to first generation and second generation vinasse. The corn vinasse is also acid, and we have less nutrients in this corn vinasse. So this vinasse in general is mixed with the protein, the DDG, the distillers dried grains, and sell as a DDG wet. So this vinasse is not used in the field, but they are mixing in the protein to raise cattle also. There are some undeniable facts about vinasse. The first, that vinasse improves yield, sugarcane yield. The second is the vinasse, depends on the doses, improves soil fertility. And there is a pollution risk using vinasse. So vinasse in Brazil is recommended for its potassium content. We have soils with low content in potassium, and also acid soils and sandy soils. So vinasse can add nutrients and improve the yield, sugarcane yield. But both potassium excess and lack interfere in the quality of the raw material to produce sugar, influencing pulp and fiber, so increasing the ash content in the juice. Very high doses of potassium cause delays in maturation and drop in sucrose content. So here we can see symptoms of potassium lack, reduced growth, thin stalks, and the fan-shaped top of leaves. So vinasse is a source of potassium mainly, and then sulfur, calcium, nitrogen, phosphorus, organic matter, and micronutrients. So it's easy to see how we have the improve in growth. In this picture, without vinasse, in the left, in the right, with 140 cubic meters per hectare of vinasse, it means 150 kilos of potassium per hectare. So it's easy to see improves of more than 140% in yield and more than around 190% in yield using vinasse in Brazilian soils. Vinasse has and can change a little the soil pH. Although we are applying an acid material, the decomposition in soil increase the pH. So in this chart, we are seeing doses of vinasse, increasing doses of vinasse, and increasing pH. So I don't have the pointer here, but in short term, soil pH was increased, but in the medium and long term, the pH returns to the initial value or increase slightly. The reasons for pH increase is aluminum complexation, reduction reactions that consume hydrogen ions, and increased microbial activity. Thank you. And the oxidation of organic matter. In this experiment, the soil samples were taken 3 months after the 3rd year of vinasse application. This. Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you. Here we have the organic carbon, nitrogen, and carbon and nitrogen stocks in different systems in an experiment in northeast region of Brazil. So carbon and nitrogen stocks were measured at 30 centimeters deep in soil samples. And the soil was a sandy texture, a typical dystrophic argisol. So vinasse was applied at 60 cubic meters per hectare, diluted to a irrigation deep depth 60 millimeters, which applied with sprinkler. And then they use also 30 kilos per hectare of urea in top dressing. The area without vinasse had only the mineral fertilization NPK 60, 120, and 8 kilos per hectare. And the areas were with 10 years of sugarcane cultivation applying vinasse. So stocks of carbon and nitrogen was higher in the soil plus vinasse compared with the soil without vinasse. Without vinasse, and the stocks with the soil plus vinasse. But compared to the native forest, they still need more years to recover the soil fertility completely. So conditions are better when you use vinasse, and we have stocks higher, then we don't use vinasse. We only use mineral fertilizers, but compared to native forest, there is some lack. Here, we are showing the organic carbon, the macroporosity, the microporosity, and the penetration resistance in 10 years after vinasse application. The application was 70 cubic meters per hectare per year. And around the vinasse was 3.1 to 4.2 kilos of potassium per cubic meter. And the results show it here. We can see carbon organic. We have two soils, the sandy soil and the clay soil. And for the clay soil, carbon organic increased. In the both soils, carbon organic increased. And the soil structure, macro and micropores, showed slightly changes in the clay soil. But in the sandy soil, vinasse changed the soil structure in the sandy soil, and micropores increased, and consequently the penetration resistance that is not so good. And penetration resistance was below the limit, not causing damage to roots. So here is the microporosity, and it was increased with vinasse use, and the penetration resistance also. So vinasse can change a little the soil structure, mainly in the sandy soils. This is a good result, and it's common to see the increase of bases in soil depth when you use vinasse. So in this experiment, we used 3 doses of vinasse, 60 cubic meters, 120 cubic meters per hectare, and 240 cubic meters per hectare. And we can see, compared with the control without vinasse, that we increase the base sum in deep layers, so improving soil fertility just using vinasse. Here, I'm showing what you call the production environments. And we have different production environments for sugarcane in Brazil. And I mean the soil, with production environment, the soil fertility plus the water storage capacity of the soil. So we can have very poor soils in the E environment production, and the best kind of soil in the A environmental production. And the yield we can have in this kind of soil is around 60 tons per hectare as an average of 5 years. And in the best one is around 97 tons per hectare. And Piracicaba's region is a region in São Paulo state. And when we use vinasse in this poor soil, we can have a performance in yield like this one. Or when we use vinasse in this one, we can have a performance in yield like a C environmental production soil. So vinasse is a very important tool to enhance productivity in Brazil. Vinasse can also modify the soil microbiota, favoring the microorganisms that decompose organic matter. The most important organisms in vinasse decomposition process are bacteria, and thermophilic fungi appears after 5 to 10 days, and actinomycetes are predominant in the final stages. So microorganisms release exoenzymes that depolymerize organic compounds. In the presence of water, the hydrolysis occurs. The composer microorganisms assimilate monomers of sugars, and the mineralization occurs, releasing mineral elements and CO2. In this paper, we study different fungi species and also specific gene families of fungi. And the treatments were nitrogen, nitrogen plus vinasse, and nitrogen plus vinasse and straw. And the abundance of fungi was determined after third application of these treatments. And for the 20 most abundant fungi genera study, there was a decrease in the abundance of blastomyces, melanthora, and penicillium, which are fungi with pathogenic potential. So it's very interesting, this paper, because applying vinasse, we can decrease the abundance of some pathogenic fungi in soil. And there was an increase in several other genera, including one mycorrhiza fungi that is benefic. And all genera that I pointed, I cannot see if you see, in orange, are increased with the presence of vinasse and nitrogen. Vinasse and soil aggregation. Vinasse has an aggregating effect on soil particles due to the organic matter and the calcium content, and also the mucilage production by microorganisms. Vinasse is most commonly applied as fertigation, spraying in total area. But the way we apply vinasse in Brazil is changing to less volume, but more concentrated in potassium, applying on the cane row as a liquid fertilizer. There are many advantages, economic advantages, and also the uniformity of the application is a big advantage. Here we can see some application in the row, as we are applying vinasse nowadays. Is a new trend for vinasse application, so sugar mills are changing to this way to apply. And to apply this in the row, we need vinasses with potassium content between 3.5 and 8 kilos of potassium per cubic meter of vinasse. And the application is around 30 to 45 cubic meters per hectare. Another advantage of applying vinasse on the row is the possibility of mixing other inputs in the same operation. And we can mix calcium as oxides or gypsum soluble sources. And we have to pay attention not to raise pH more than 7 to avoid nitrogen losses as volatilization. And we can add also nutrients like macronutrients and micronutrients from soluble sources. And we can add also insecticides and fungicides if it's necessary. And we also can add microorganisms, biofertilizers, gels, humic acids, amino acids, and what we need using the same operation. Sugar mills have now vinasse-based fertilizer plant where is a place where the truck arrives and phosphorus or micronutrients are added to the truck. Urea is the preferred nitrogen source, but it can use also ammonium nitrate and uran. And it's possible to mix all the nutrients that you want. Phosphoric acid has been the best source, and monoammonium phosphate and diammonium phosphate also can be used. It's interesting. Here we have many sources that we can mix with the vinasse, but it's interesting because we can have fertilization, use vinasse, customize it for each sugarcane plot, complementing all the fertilizers needed for sugarcane growth in one operation. So we reduce operations in the field, and this is very important for big areas that we have. And we can add all the nutrients we need, customizing the fields. Vinasse is also applied in plant cane as fertigation to help sprouting. It is important for planting in periods of drought. Also, we can mix vinasse with water for drip irrigation. It's not a common situation in Brazil, only in Northeast region, but we can do this, and it is recommended that the mixture with vinasse reach a maximum of 5% of the project flow rate, and that it be injected before the filtration process. Here you can see a picture with the tanks of vinasse and the tanks of water to drip irrigation. And vinasse can also be applied with pivot and irrigating bar. The bar and the pivot must be made of stainless steel, and it's possible to apply vinasse without mixing it with water, but it's also important to filter it. Let me say something about vinasse and environmental impacts. The first one is soil salinization. Depends on the doses. In general, there is no risk in Brazil because we use vinasse in a dose to add potassium to sugarcane according to recommendations. So we cannot have soil salinization, but it is a risk. And also another risk is anion leaching, and also the doses that you use potassium in Brazil is very safe. But the greater risks occurs in sandy soils with shallow water table. Greenhouse gas emissions, practices that minimize impacts on the soil and air are recommended. And we have also some accidents during application or in reservoirs. And both of these need for environmental monitoring. So
Last 2
we have
minutes,
to
please.
prevent this.
Last 2 minutes.
Oh, I'm finishing. So soil salinization, it occurs only in accidents like this in the channel that broke. And here I would like to show how the risk of pollution by ions leaching. We are showing here the soil solution and the cation exchange capacity. So when we add vinasse, we are adding potassiums and also sulfur, but when a potassium meets a nitrate, we have one positive charge and one negative charge in the soil solution, and this the charge is 0. And in this moment, we can have the leaching of the potassium and the nitrate, but it's very ephemeral. So potassium can separate from nitrate, but in the moment they are joint, we can have the leaching risk. And if the soil is sandy and not too deep, the risk is higher, is higher. And we also have some risk of flooding, especially when applying by fertigation, like sprinkles. And we have also some greenhouse gases emission, especially because we have vinasse plus straw plus filter cake, so several residues. And here we show an experiment where we apply vinasse 30 days before the nitrogen fertilization and 30 days after. And here the fluxes of N2O. And when we apply 30 days before the fertilization nitrogen or 30 days after, the emissions were very low. But when we apply together nitrogen plus concentrate vinasse, we had the high N2O emissions. But losses represent at maximum 1.8 of the nitrogen applied. So they are not significant losses from an economic point of view. But for an environmental point of view, we have to take care because we have large areas of sugarcane and vinasse application. We can have some accidents and need to be avoided. This is a reservoir that broke, so vinasse run to the river and polluted the river, so we have to monitor this. Also, we have some options to vinasse treatment, and the physical chemical treatment, the biodigestion, and the burning boilers. The physical chemical treatment process was developed in the 70s and is not an economical viable option for Brazil today. But the biodigestion of vinasse, this is a good idea, and sugar mills are improving this process. And we can have a huge amount of biomethane being producing every season, and this volume can replace all diesel used by sugar energy sector. Okay, concluding. So it's interesting just to say this, the biogas, the biomethane can also be used to produce hydrogen for batteries and for green ammonia, that is a green fertilizer. So concluding, vinasse is an organic material rich in nutrients and energy, increases agricultural productivity, sugarcane longevity, and improves soil fertility. Risks of environmental pollution, salinization, ion leaching, and greenhouse gas emissions are dependent on the dosage and management used. Concentrated or enriched vinasse applied to sugarcane rows allows for flexible fertilization with economic and environmental advantages. The processes that aim to use vinasse for energy production are viable and allow nutrients recovery for sugarcane nutrition. Monitor and minimize the risks of environmental impact is necessary. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Raffaello. Actually, this is what complete study that we have seen on the effect of vinasse on the particular sugarcane yield. It's not only the nutrient point of view, but I think she has exposed all the impacts on the climate, environment, pollution in soil, water, everything, and how it best can be used for agriculture purpose as a nutrient. Thank you for your complete, very good presentation. Congratulations. Any one or two questions, please?
Hello. Myself is Dr. J.R. Kadam, ex-Associate Director of Research, Zonal Agriculture Research in Solapur. Nice presentation, Dr. Raffaele Rosette, for utilization of Vinase as a soil amendment, consequences and perspective. My question is that as Vinase is a soil amendment, then you have not shown the data on effect of use of Vinase on yield of sugarcane. Only one table is shown. And have you worked out the economics, use of Vinase, and what is the cost benefits ratio of this?
That's a good question. For Brazil, it's very important to use vinasse because we can, if you don't use vinasse, we need to import potassium fertilizer. So we can save this potassium fertilizers importation. And the recycle of this potassium means huge saves for the sugar mill. Okay, it's economic to use vinasse, and also they need to dispose this vinasse in some manner. Now they are trying also to biodigest, to do the biodigestion and to treat the vinasse. But it's very interesting for Brazil to use in the field because we need the water for fertigation also. And it improves growth, and also all the nutrients that are recycled, it's important to grow sugarcane. So it's very economic and very sustainable to use vinasse in Brazil.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Now I'll request Dr. N.G. Patil to present his paper,
Hello.
Quest for Land Parcel Specific Digital Soil
One more
Solutions,
question, please.
Challenges and Potentials. Okay, so I will just request Priti to introduce.
Dr. N.G. Patil sir had completed his MTech in Soil and Water Conservation Engineering and PhD in Soil and Water Conservation Engineering. His research planning, water resources, crop water management, climate resilient agriculture, land resource inventory, predictive soil mapping, watershed development, and soil hydraulic properties. Dr. Patil has wide national and international R&D experience in the field of agriculture and environment. He was awarded the Australia Awards Fellowship by Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Australian government, to undertake research on digital agriculture for food and soil security. He not only imparted training to agricultural trade partners in India, but also implemented various technological options to reduce water consumption, promote effective and efficient use of water resources, inhibit soil degradation, reduce environmental and ecological impacts on agriculture. Algorithms developed by him are currently used by multinational corporations like Adani Transmissions, Sterlite Transmission, Tata Projects, KEC International, etc. for infrastructure development in India and abroad. He also developed algorithm for estimating engineering properties of soil. Dr. Patil has received many prestigious honors and awards such as Fellow of Indian Society of Soil Survey and Land Use Planning, Chief Editor of Agropedology Journal. He has published 70 research papers in National Journal and 25 research papers in international journals. Dr. Patil is currently Director of ICR, National Bureau of Soil Survey and Land Use Planning, Nagpur. I request Dr. Patil, sir, please present.
Dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. Good morning, everyone. I'm a little bit fish out of water because all the persons gathered over here are talking about sugarcane, whereas I will be talking about soil survey in India and the soil survey efforts that we are doing here. So let me begin with some of the challenges that we are facing right now. As a country, India is definitely seeing a shift in bioclimate, and Without going into the great details, I would just highlight here that there is certainly a shift in rainfall pattern that is well known. The amount of water received during monsoon remaining the same, there is definitely a change in distribution, the amount of water received in a single day or the number of events and so on. So the challenges that as a country we are facing is we have depleted our groundwater resources to a great extent, and to relate it to sugarcane production or sugar industry, I would say around 55% of the irrigation currently in the country is driven by groundwater irrigation, and we don't have national or even subnational plans to maintain our groundwater levels. So that is one issue that I want to highlight here. The more pertinent point is there are n number of technologies that are available for managing our soils, maintaining soil health, managing our waters, but where to use those technologies, special domain or special information. That in this world of geographic information systems, I think when we are operating at a micro scale, we want to advise the farmers, and compared to the developed world, Indian farmers usually have hardly a land parcel of 1 or 2 hectares, not more than that. And in such a scenario, governments, whether it's federal government or any other government, they want land parcel specific solutions. So soil as a matter of study varies even within a 1 hectare of plot, or even sub variations are not extraordinary. That is normally, routinely we observe. And when we are faced with a challenge that each and every individual farmer holding hardly more than 1 or 2 acres of land is to be advised with the development of some advisory that would tell him on daily basis what is to be done, what is not to be done, is a big challenge that government has been putting across to the researchers constantly, and to me as an organization, because we are supposed to cater to the needs of the country, and the current level of our national soil database is very low, very poor. But the efforts that are currently on, and I want you all to be the partners in those efforts, because we are doing a lot of scattered efforts in isolation. We are collecting a lot of soil data, but somehow that is not being brought under a single platform. So that is a kind of message that I would like to give first. That should be our national priority, contributing to building up of a national soil database, or creating a national repository of soils. And as I said, special information right now is not that it is not available, but it is not aggregated in a single system, so that there is a perspective, there is a bird's eye view for the person who is thinking of state level policy, national level policy, district level policy, and even village level policy. So all the efforts that are going in different parts of the country somehow face an issue of duplication and replication. So if this duplication, as Dr. Raffaello was talking about her findings, there was a chord resonating, because we found that many of the results we have also observed here, though not all. But the point is, in Brazil, what they are doing is probably on maybe 5,000 hectare field, and whereas we here are talking about 0.5 hectare field. So her results need to be understood in the perspective that it's not, it cannot be generalized. And if at all it is to be generalized, we need some special information on each and every land parcel. So be it contingency planning, be it avoiding duplication of efforts, be it applying knowledge generated somewhere in the world, so in some other country, we need to know our soil first. That should be our priority. So right now, as a director, as a national agency, we are faced with the challenges, many organizations coming to us and demanding the soil data. As I said, at land parcel specific level, some of the state governments ask us that we need to promote oil palm cultivation in the country right now to reduce our import burden for edible oil. So where do we cultivate? Then suddenly, as a national agency, we are faced with a challenge where to recommend the development of oil palm cultivation. Likewise, where to encourage rubber plantation. Then we have made some commitments during COP meetings that we will reduce our land degradation and we will reclaim around 30 million hectare of soils or lands during next few years. Then faced with extreme events of climate, weather, we have to have contingency plans that are again focusing on a single farmer. Reclamation of affected soils. Then there are challenges of watershed management, irrigation management, sequestration, and so on. So there are n number of agencies engaged in using soil data or applications of soil information. Again, the trouble is we don't know the special domains where the known technologies could be used. So I'm just flagging some of the current engagements that we have. One of them is watershed development. Right now, we are operating in some or 6 or 7 states of India, wherein we are conducting soil survey. We are preparing land parcel specific solutions for managing crops, offering contingency plans, offering nutrient management plans for the chosen crops in that particular state. And this way, we have developed around 2,500 watersheds in Karnataka, few watersheds in Maharashtra, Odisha, and so on. So we are looking after the different aspects that are contained in the big domain of land use planning, or simply said, soil management. So just to apprise the House, we have prepared the first soil map of India at 1:250,000 scale. Then we have prepared some 10 district soil maps at 50,000 scale. Then we took up some detailed soil survey in more than 400 blocks of India, 2014 onwards. But right now, we have stopped after creating all these data sets. Now we are focusing on digital soil solutions. That is something I would like the youngsters to know, that we have in a way stopped traditional survey in India. And we are mostly now adopted digital soil mapping solutions. And recently we have concluded around 50 districts of India, that is almost one big size state. So what is that is different in digital soil mapping? I don't think there is any need to explain, but just to tell you or give you an idea that we are now employing satellite images, geographic information systems, and the legacy soil database that has been we have collected over last 40 years. So we are trying to play a bit smart by using the soil data that has been collected over last 40 years. And my purpose will be served very well here if I'm able to raise an awareness amongst the researchers, academicians over here, that you please share whatever soil data with georeferences with us as a national agency. This is our baby step towards building national soil database, and whatever soil information that is available with you, if it is published, we are collecting it. No worries about that. If you have put it in public domain, we are accessing it. But somehow, almost 50% of the information is still lying in private documents or in private custody. So my request would be to share those database with us. So we are using environmental covariates, generating some special models, and all this is being done through some machine learning algorithms that are smart enough to gather soil variability in any given unit of operation. It could be your block, it could be your district, it could be your state. So the thing is, all we need to do is capture the variability of soils to the maximum possible extent, so that soils as a whole, as a media, is clearly understood at different levels, and this will definitely allow us to come out with policies. This is very, very important, that we before laying down the recommendations for any policy related to soil health, we must understand our soils first with a broader perspective, with aggregated at different levels of understanding. So I think this is a basic thing, I need not repeat it. So currently, just for the information or the soil science students, we have developed standard operating protocol for collecting soil information in the country, that is preparing land resource inventory. And this particular book or publication is available in public domain on our website. It is also available as a paper edition, paper copy. This can be used by anybody who wishes to collect soil information for his area or for his unit of operation. Just to give an example, we had around data on 841 soil profile data for Vidarbha region of this state. It covers around 11 districts. What we observed is some of the areas are not really represented in terms of soil survey. So what we did is, those windows which have never been studied, the areas those have not been studied, we collected new profiles using simple statistical Latin hypercube sampling technique. That allowed me to minimize the number of soils or number of profiles that need to be studied. So using that approach, we have collected very recently this land resource inventory of Vidarbha that includes 11 districts, and now we are going to we are in the second phase of generating land parcel specific land use plans, contingency plans, or nutrient management plans. Likewise, this job has been done for Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh state of India, that is Bundelkhand region, some of the districts in Karnataka. So since we are standing here in Maharashtra, let me tell you that we have created land resource inventory for 5,000 villages in 15 districts of Maharashtra. And we have used very simple machine learning algorithms for predicting the soil properties that are very, very important for managing and maintaining soil health, like depth, texture, soil organic carbon, pH, bulk density, available water content, and CEC. I hope this will give a fair idea of the soils in Maharashtra, and I think we'll be coming out with this report within next 3-4 months, very, very soon. Just to give you an example, this is Aurangabad district in Maharashtra. You can see our models are performing well to predict soil depth. And in terms of this state in particular, depth prediction is very, very important. In other parts of India, this may not be applicable, but at least for Maharashtra, everything, productivity of any soil could be very easily linked with soil depth, because the soil properties that we have studied in Maharashtra, we have observed that all the soils exhibiting depth less than 30 or 40 centimeters are invariably low in nutrient content, and in terms of fertility or nutrient management, they are tough to manage. So once you prepare even a simple soil depth map of any district or any particular village, you immediately have nutrient management plan that would be easily understood by a common worker at village level who doesn't understand intricacies of our soil physicochemical properties. And simply if you develop a thumb rule and tell him that, look, your soil is less than 30 centimeter depth, you are always going to face nutrient management or nutrient amendment issues. So this is an example of some of the villages in, again, Aurangabad district. You can see some 10, 15 villages over here. And out of those 10 villages, red flag villages or red flag cluster has a greater extent of shallow soils. Now, why I am stressing on this particular point? The point is, these soils or these land parcels are always going to be on back foot, be it a good monsoon year or be it a bad monsoon year, because these soils are inherently weak. So this is what we are trying to do for the entire state. Again, another issue as a land manager I would like to flag is, when we are implementing our watershed management solutions, we have observed that the number of irrigation wells, you can look at the year 2007, 2013 and 2017. What is happening? Just look at the red dots. These were the wells that were dry during 2007. With the implementation of watershed development program, by 2013, the number of blue dots have increased. That simply tells me that the number of wells have increased, irrigated area has increased or not. That is a question. The thing is, or the beauty of these maps is, during 2007, the total irrigated area was 1,000 hectare, let us say. In 2013, it came to 1,200, and by 2070, it again came down to 1,000. So what is happening is, with the implementation of our watershed development programs, the groundwater levels are being replenished. We are getting some more water, but the extraction immediately goes up without adding to the irrigated area to a greater magnitude. And simply the number of beneficiaries are increasing. In simple words, let me tell that the number of farmers irrigators, I mean to say, are increasing without any addition to irrigated area. So if there were 100 farmers benefiting earlier, now there are 150 farmers, but the irrigated area is remaining the same. So lot of expenditure in those 50 irrigation additional wells that has been incurred by the private agencies or the government agencies, that is going waste. And our estimate says that the amount lost in a single district is around 5 crore rupees. So in a single state, you can imagine we are losing around 200 crore rupees in a single year. So as such, soil and water, both resources need to be clubbed together and seen together, especially when we are talking about a crop like sugarcane. So this is in a native Marathi language, the land parcel, agronomists, agrometeorologists, soil scientists of all the 4 academic institutions or 4 universities in Maharashtra. And we are in the process of developing such specific land parcel specific advisories. I think I need not show it, but we have developed some mobile apps as well. And the another effort that we are making in terms of acquiring contactless or without surveys, collecting soil data without survey is, of course, soil spectral library or hyperspectral imaging studies. So this is another new challenge or new area of research that is coming up very fast. And again, I would request the youngsters, upcoming researchers, to take up the challenges for the country as we are developing better sensors, better drones, and artificial intelligence, IoT, and all those new technologies. We are getting very close to dry chemistry. Our wish is to replace wet chemistry within next 4 to 5 years in India, so that the farmer could be given on the spot results. Just to give you an example, 2 or 3 days earlier, Secretary Agriculture, Telangana State of India contacted me and said, can you give me results of soil sample testing within 24 hours? That was his challenge or request. So I was little bit astonished because it is just not possible to give results within 24 hours. And he said, why don't you, I'll support your research program. Why don't you develop such sensors that would be giving results within 2-3 hours? So this is an upcoming field, hyperspectral imaging, and we are into that. We are developing hyperspectral web portal of India. This is again another repository or library that we will be creating within next few years. And as the radiometers or the sensors develop, again, we need to collect this information as soon as possible for the entire country. We don't have much time. So, friends, my appeal again, I keep on repeating these things, that we need to create National Soil Archives and National Soil Database so that the efforts, because Karnataka soils are no different than the Solapur or Pune soils. So the point is, if some researcher is doing some work in Dharwad, why to duplicate it in Pune or in VSI? That is the point. And let us see it from agronomy point of view as well. What do you do with the soil data? You need to identify the potential areas that are now coming up. Government of India is implementing one district, one commodity program. In a single district, Telangana government is developing crop colonies. For example, if you want to encourage poultry industry, you need to cultivate maize crop. Now, where do you grow maize crop? Special information. Is there 50,000 hectare area available which could be potentially grown to maize or rubber or oil palm? So these kind of questions are now coming up to us. And this is one example. We have pomegranate plantation in a big way in this state. And if it is to be propagated in other state, what do you do? So right from Rajasthan to Odisha to so many other states, all states need to combine together, all agencies, whether they are in academia, whether they are in private or in any other domain, they need to strengthen the data repository of the country. So I think that is in nutshell the message I want to deliver over here. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Dr. N.G. Patil, for a very nice presentation. And if there are any questions on this particular database, any clarification? If not, then thank you, Dr. Patil sir, for your nice presentation. So, would you like to conclude? I should go there or? Okay. Okay.
Now I request Chairman sir to present a memento to Dr. N.G. Patil sir. I also request to present a memento to Raphaelo ma'am. And also request to Dr. Ahija ma'am. I request Dr. Kadlak sir to present a memento to our chairman, Dr. Farande sir. I request Farande sir to concluding remarks.
So, it is my privilege to have the concludes the session. Of course, there were 4 presentations. Out of these 4, only 3 are presented here. So first presentation was on this particularly effect of tillage residue and nutrient management on soil organic carbon, biology and yield under the multi-retaining sugarcane system. I think this is a very good piece of work carried by the NIASM, especially on the conservation of agriculture. In the morning session, I mentioned that conservation of agriculture practices in every crop is very essential, not only to maintain the soil health, but also to arrest the land degradative process, and also the climate resilience, as well as the climate and environmental preservation. So this kind of database is very important. She already narrated very good what is the impact of these treatments on their soil biological systems, enzyme activities, the microbial count, various positive and active pools, because carbon sequestration is the very important component that has to be maintained to enhance the soil organic carbon pool in the soil, and as well as the stock. Both components are very essential under the semi-arid tropics, because being a tropical situation, most of the organic carbon is lost through the oxidation process, and very difficult to maintain the range of organic carbon which is required for maintaining the best physical, chemical, and biological properties. I think this is one of the wonderful experiment that you have carried to enhance the carbon sequestration in the soil by maintaining the more passive pool rather than the active pool. This kind of work is very much essential. The second presentation focus on the by the Dr. Raffaello is very good piece of work, how to use the, you can say the sugarcane pollutant, I can say. In the Indian text, instead of Venice, we are using the post-biomethane spent wash or spent wash for these kind of things. I think this is a really crucial problem, how to utilize best environmentally, even how to maintain the soil health in a better way, and also how to look towards the nutrient source. I think this is a good piece of work that you have carried out. And not only she has worked on the soil-based research, I can say, but she worked how the pollution can be reduced, how best nutrient can be utilized by the sugarcane crop, how best it can be economized, or how can best doses of fertilizer can be minimized under this program. And of course, variety of vinasse he has used. Vinasse from the maize as well as sugarcane with the different doses. Of course, the soil types is different as compared to our Maharashtra soils. Mostly it is clayey. But I think this is a piece of work that should be carried out in different universities, as well as particularly at the sugarcane factories also. This kind of research work need to be introduced, and I think this is very much essential, because this otherwise spent wash can be used directly for incineration process for production of ash, and mostly we are using the potash for fertilizers. But spent wash can be used as a nutrient source. It can has the organic load, because she has mentioned about 97% water is there, and only 7%, only 3-4% is only solids. And how to conserve these solids for best utilization as a source of fertilizer is a good piece of work she has given, and also improved the organic carbon status of the soils. Apart from that, potassium, there is a good source of nitrogen, she mentioned, good source of phosphorus, calcium, sulfur, all these nutrient sources she has mentioned, and she has given the 400 cubic meter per hectare under sandy soil. So these doses she has worked out. Of course, this needs to be tested under Indian text by the different, you can say the researchers. And this kind of environmental production, environmentally good one, and modified the biota of soil system. All these benefits, especially on physico-chemical and biological aspect, positive effect or positive carbon stock by introduction of vinasse. Otherwise, most under Indian text, this vinasse is given into the river course, and that create the water pollution, air pollution, as well as the soil pollution. I think this is a good toast of, you can say, the experiment carried by this thing. Of course, Dr. N.G. Patil, our director, NBSS LUP, has also given very good information. Of course, this database is the main mandate of this very good premier institute, and they have a lot of, you can say, the particular efforts diverted for development of soil maps of India as well as the state level. Of course, this technology available with this aspect is mostly utilized for contingent planning, soil-related recommendations, even by the universities also, and of course, the arrest the land degradation processes. And that is the main this thing. I think more accurately, these database can be used for futuristic, you can say, the agriculture, especially precision agriculture. Unless you have this database, soil database, one cannot proceed for the precision agriculture and crop planning purposes, as well as watershed management. I think this is a good digital soil maps. What we have shown is the very good, you can say, can be used to develop the climate smart villages in future. Because development of climate smart villages by particular all-round activities by introducing the socio-economical as well as natural resource system. One should have the detailed information and knowledge. I think this is a good piece of work, what he has shown. And of course, this is a responsibility taken by NBSS, will be of most useful in due course of time. Of course, this hyperspectral web portal development is also a unique feature under digital agricultural system. And of course, I congratulate all these three speakers because they have given very basic innovations in this particular field. And of course, these should be replicated in the university farms, fields, and even particularly NRCs. All this can be used. And this is the good example to have this presentation for maintaining the sustainability of soils in future. There are, of course, constraints. There are so many problems, but I think one should create a solution. I think these are the three important presentations will give the idea about how to come up with the sustainable maintenance of soil by maintaining the soil health, by building the soil organic carbon in due course of time for maintenance of sustainable field crops in future. So I must particularly my sincere thanks to organizers for giving me an opportunity to share this particular act as a chairman for this important session at this moment. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks to Dr. Parande sir for chairing the session. Thanks to all distinguished speakers, Dr. N.G. Patil sir, Dr. Raphaelo, and Dr. Ahija ma'am. Thanks to all delegates. Now the session is closed with the permission of chairman. Thank you. Now this is the tea break. Sharp 11:30, third session will start.
All the delegates are requested to occupy their seats, please. Now we are going to start our agriculture session number 3 on micro irrigation and mechanization. All are aware that water is a crucial commodity for sugarcane agriculture and that needs to be utilized judiciously. And mechanization is also important topic. And efficient operations and timely operations in sugarcane cultivation, it needs to be mechanized. So this theme of this session is micro irrigation and mechanization. For this important session, it will be chaired by Dr. Prashant Kumar Patil, Vice Chancellor, Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapit. And there are 4 speakers in this session. First one is Engineer Render Felix, who is the President or Honorary for International Commission of Irrigation and Drainage. Mr. Suresh Kulkarni, former Secretary of the Water Resource Regulatory Authority and consultant for World Bank project. Third speaker is Shochan Ma. He is an associate professor at College of Engineering, China University. And fourth speaker is Dr. V.M. Mainde, former Vice Chancellor, Punjab Rao Deshmukh Krishi Vidyapit, Akola, Maharashtra. Rapporteurs for this session are Mr. S.R. Patil and Ms. M.A. Gaikwad from Vasantdada Sugar Institute. And I am the coordinator. My name is P.P. Shinde. I am working as a head agriculture engineering in Vasantdada Sugar Institute. I will be coordinating this session. I will request Chairman Sir to please come on the dais. I will also request all the speakers to come on the dais. Rapporteurs also requested to occupy their seats on the dais. In brief, I will introduce chairman of the session, Dr. P.G. Patil. He did his B.Tech from the Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapit, M.Tech from IIT Kharagpur, and PhD from VNIT Nagpur. He has experience more than 29 years, 17 technologies he has developed. He has more than 120 research publications. He is honored with the title of the Colonel Commander by the Maharashtra NCC and also Vasantrao Naik Krishi Ratna Puraskar last year. He worked on various posts in the ICAR. He wrote 4 books and 75 popular articles. He is a life member of the various bodies. I will hand over to him for conduct of this.
Very good morning to all of you. This is the agricultural session 3 under the third international conference and exhibition on sustainability, challenges and opportunities in global sugar industry. This is session's name is micro irrigation and mechanization. And you all are aware that these two important topics, that is micro irrigation and mechanization, are very, very important in the sugarcane cultivation. So in this session, there are 4 esteemed and learned speakers from the India as well as the foreign countries like South Africa, and one is from China. So the name of the speakers are from India, Dr. Honorable former Vice Chancellor of the Dr. PDKV Akola, Dr. VM Mayande sir, and from our World Bank aided project, a consultant, Dr. S.A. Kulkarni. He was the former secretary, Maharashtra Water Resources Regulatory Authority. And third speaker is Dr. Felix Reinders, President Honoria, International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage, Pretoria, South Africa. And a speaker from China, Dr. Xiaochun Ma. He is Associate Professor, College of Engineering, China, Agricultural University, China. So we are having 2 hours with us, and I think each speaker will be giving 20 minutes for their presentation and 5 minutes discussion on these topics. If there are some queries from the audience, they are free to ask them. So without wasting time, I think I request first speaker, Dr. Felix Reinders, President Honoria, International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage, South Africa. And his topic is micro irrigation practices in different countries, a global perspective. And I request him to present his presentation.
Just in brief, I will introduce Dr. Felix Reinders. He is from South Africa. He is President Honorary for International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage. His specialization is water resource management, irrigation engineering, including research, design, training, and mentoring. He is author of the several scientific papers, manuals on irrigation and drainage. He is the chairman of the Global Framework for Water Scarcity in Agriculture, and his presentation will be on irrigation practices in different countries, a global perspective. I will request Dr. Felix to deliver his speech.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to present to you micro-irrigation practices used in different countries. As I was the former president of the International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage, I had the opportunity also to be part of the team that collated the statistics of micro-irrigation in the world, and I will share that with you this morning. So during my presentation, I will have some introductory remarks. We will look at irrigation as a practice, then specifically micro-irrigation, and then, of course, the practices used in different countries, and then lastly, some concluding remarks. So in terms of introduction, if you go through newspapers, through publications, through literature of various companies, you will see there is a lot of news or information that they share with us. I only picked one or two, and one of them is, of course, drip irrigation for sugarcane farmers, which could increase yields by as much as 40%, can soon become a reality. That was a publication a number of years ago. And then another reporter wrote, the drip nozzle can save up to 80% in water consumption when compared with conventional overhead sprayers. But of course, there's also stories of bad news. And I've picked three of them. And you can see the very first one is precisely the same amount of water can be wasted with drip irrigation as with other systems, if not managed correctly. So that is a word of warning that yes, drip is there, it's safe water, but be careful, you must manage it. Second one, there are many questions to answer and much information to gather before choosing a system. Otherwise, it could lose your money. And then the last one, many farmers still believe that they have water to spare, then an irrigation system is a must, and that it will automatically profits. Nothing could be further from the truth. So homework must be done. We must look at all the options after and then make a decision. Fortunately, there are research institutions like VSI. There are companies that are selling equipment, that are innovating equipment. And then, of course, the producers. And the success lies between those three parties, you could say, research, companies, and the producers. But what is the binding factor? The binding factor, of course, is water. Water brings us all together, and it provides us with information that we could utilize. So if we look at water as a natural resource, then, of course, if you look at the world, 2% of our water is in the polar ice caps. 97% is salty water, and we only have 1% available for use. And in terms of the available water, you'll see there on the left-hand corner, rainfall comprises of 110,000 of cubic kilometers per annum. And that makes up 100% of the water. And then, of course, you see bioenergy and forests, you see crop, but then you also see crop livestock as well as irrigation. So irrigation utilizes up to 1.4% of that natural resource to provide to crops. So what is water? Water, of course, we know is the only substance that is essential for life, for human consumption, and then, of course, also for agriculture and for irrigation. Applying water to provide food, to secure food, and to assist with food securities. Dating thousands of years ago, when different techniques were utilized to irrigate and to apply water to the crops. And through the years, a number of developments took place that also assist the irrigation farmers in planting their crops and irrigating it. And in terms of the water that we receive by means of natural rainfall, you will see that 70% of that water is still used for agriculture worldwide. Some countries, of course, utilize much more, but on average, 70% is for agriculture, industry 23%, and then domestic about 8%. So in terms of the availability of water, you'll see the map of the world. Dark blue means more than 50,000 cubic meters per country per annum. The lighter colors, like the yellows and the orange, means less than 1,700 cubic meters per annum, per person. So that sounds a lot of water, but in essence, it is not that much water. So the agricultural sector is by far the biggest user of water. It accounts for 70% of the total water withdrawal. In Africa and Asia, it goes up to 85 to 90%, and only 19% of the world's cultivated areas are irrigated. So in terms of usage, you will see the pinkish color means that it is industry related or dominant. Green means it is agriculture dominant, where irrigation is taking up most of the water. In terms of utilization of water, you will see it from 0.1 cubic kilometer per annum that's used by a country up to 685. And India is that red color that utilizes 685 cubic kilometer per annum. And of course, with all the other countries, the volumes that they use. So what is the drivers or the impact on water usage? The global population growth taken from the early 1960s, and the prediction towards 2050 is that we will reach a population in the world of 10 billion people. So everyone needs to be fed. We need to have water for irrigation, industry. So that is part of our dilemma and challenges that we are facing. And it's predicted by the year 2030, that is only 6 years away, that 2/3 of the world population will be affected by water shortages. And you will see the red parts means there will be less than 1,000 cubic meter per person per year. And that is also over the next 6 years. The orange means between 1,000 and 2,000 cubic meters, and over 2,000 the blue colors. So Africa, the Middle East, and some parts of Europe will be affected. So the importance of water, water is the key to food security. It's not just for primary production. It connects us all together, and we need to be more water smart. So if you want to look at irrigation, I think everybody in this audience know what is irrigation. It is to apply the desired amount of water at the correct application rate and uniformly to the whole field at the right time with the least amount of non-beneficial water or losses, and as economically as possible. And typically, we classify the systems in flood, mobile, and static. And you will see in terms of micro irrigation, that forms part of the static group, and that is drip, micro sprayer irrigation. So irrigation studies and research over many years on the techniques of microgravity sprinkler mechanized irrigation contributed tremendously to the knowledge base of applying irrigation methods correctly. And in terms of the water dependency, most of the agricultural fields are rain-fed, 1,233 million hectares, and the rest, of course, 300 million hectares are being irrigated with different techniques utilized in different ways in different parts of the world. So in terms of the water utilization, as I've said, 70% by agriculture, either using center pivots or drip or sprinkler, overhead or subsurface, applying water correctly at the right time to provide the amount of water that is producing the crop with the least amount of water. So drip irrigation is advancing and growing the fastest at the present moment in the world by applying that. And of course, as I've stipulated, only 300 million hectares is irrigated. So in terms of statistics from ICID, you'll see the growth from 1950 to the year 2024 with the irrigation that took place. But what is interesting, if you analyze the data, you will see in the 1980s, 1990s, we reached a peak in terms of the amount of area irrigated per 1,000 of people. And then after that, it is a declining curve due to the fact that the development of irrigated agriculture do not keep pace with the population growth. And this is typically how the systems are being utilized. You'll see micro irrigation is at the moment 20 million hectare, which entails only 7% of the total area irrigated. And the micro irrigation concept was developed in South Africa to contain dust on mine heaps. And from there, it developed to the advanced systems that is being utilized now all over the world. As we know, drip irrigation, of course, was developed in Israel with the advances that also took place there, with many other countries also now developing and manufacturing drip irrigation equipment. But every type of irrigation system can be efficient. You see gravity irrigation, there are evidence that it could be up to 85% efficient. Sprinkler irrigation also up to 85. But you see right at the bottom, the state-of-the-art water management, where soil moisture management and delivery system are in place. You can obtain up to 100% efficiency. So in terms of micro irrigation, the three types of irrigation that we look at there is drip, microjet, and micro sprinkler. And if one look at the early history of micro irrigation, many years ago in 1860, it already started with some developments in Germany. There was some work in the United States. In the 1920s, again in Germany. But it is only later on, after World War II, that things started to develop with the availability of plastic pipes. And therefore, we have seen different types of systems started to develop. And in 1959, new technology of drip irrigation was introduced in Israel by Simcha Blas and his son Yeshayahu, where they developed and patented the first practical surface drip irrigation emitter. And of course, as we know, drip could be either surface or subsurface, applying water to the root zone with the nutrients and applying at the right amount at the right place for the crop to utilize it, and therefore one of the most efficient type of irrigation systems that one could use. And of course, Simcha Blas and how the systems developed from that early years in 1965 up to the systems that we are using today. In terms of the survey that we did, you will see there was an increase in the use of micro irrigation from 1981 to 2021. Our next updated data will be 2026. But you can see the percentage increase was 4,487%. If one put it on a graph, you can see 1981, there was only a small portion of 0.4 million hectares. And at the moment, 2021 onwards, it reached a total of 20 million hectares. And many countries all over the world are practicing micro irrigation, and of these, a total of 15 countries with 44 countries are manufacturing and marketing drip irrigation products. So if one further look at the statistics, you will see India is the top country in terms of micro irrigation, followed by China, Spain, and the rest in terms of utilization of that. So the rise in popularity of drip irrigation solutions can be attributed to government initiatives, water conservation activities, enhance our production, and decrease in production cost. And this market is also driven by factors as population growth, increasing withdrawal of water for agriculture, limited land resources, unpredictable rainfall patterns, and of course, demand for biofuel in developing countries. And if one analyze the micro irrigation penetration as a percentage of the total irrigation, you will see Mexico 3.2%, China 8%, and it goes on with India, there 12.7% of their micro irrigation out of the total irrigation that they irrigate of 70 million hectares. And of course, Israel irrigates 73.6% with micro irrigation systems. So according to the research report, Drippers Market by Type, they predict by the year 2027, the growth will be 288 million US dollars in 2022, and there will be a huge increase, annual growth rate of 10.2% in value, up to 469 million by 2027. So, Chairman, to look at the different practices in different countries of the world, first of all, I go to my home country, South Africa, where we are on the southern tip of Africa, and where we are applying micro irrigation in different ways, of which drip is one of them. And you'll see on sugarcane, this is a system, 12,000 hectares of sugarcane, a dual row planting at 1.8 to 1.9 meters center to center, designed for a peak demand of 7.7 millimeters per day. See the drip emitters, 1.7 liters per hour, spaced at 0.92. It was specially manufactured for the project at that spacing. Drip tape, wall thickness 0.4, the length is 200 to 500 meters. And then, of course, installation was done mechanically with 3 rows installed mechanically with the subsurface drip installed. And then the planting of the sugarcane is tramline on both sides of the dripper line. Filter station, various products that has been used to clean the water before it entered the drip system due to the fine particles that should be filtered out. And of course, there are backflush timers, pressure differential switches. There you can see the cluster house. And then, of course, there will be a pre-wetting cycle, either, well, first of all, to improve the seed-soil contact. Sometimes they'll also utilize a sprinkler system just to wet the surface so that germination can take place. The cane rows are 400 millimeters apart, and then the plant furrows installed with the machine, the covering of the machine of the ridges, the lateral just below the seed cane, and then the ridge is about 5 to 7.5 centimeters in height, and the lateral depth varies between 10 and 15 centimeters. So then covering of the first irrigation, and you will see there's the irrigation that takes place with the tram line with the 2 rows of 400 millimeters on 200 millimeters on either side of the dripper line. And after germination and planting, you'd see the growth. And of course, the total tons of sucrose per hectare, how it developed through the different systems, furrow showed there in red, drip irrigation with the blue, sprinkler irrigation in green, and then, sorry, the center pivots. Excuse me, for that was introduced later. If we want to look at micro irrigation in China, also a big role player in the usage, thank you very much, usage of your drip irrigation, also big manufacturing plants, where they started to introduce that in 1974, and how it have developed over years. And in 2022, the area reached 7 million hectares. And the investment in that is 139 billion. What is the Chinese? They will know what is the money unit, but you can see where all the irrigation takes place. So during the period 1970 to 1990, the main efforts made were to test and to use micro irrigation on vegetables and orchards, and they have recognized that as an efficient and cost-effective method for crop with high value. Then initial stages with all the developments, all the challenges that they faced, and then of course the application, either in greenhouses with of course on cotton and of maize, and of course also manufacturing plants where they also export to various countries all over the world with both drippers and micro sprayers of various kinds, different flow rates, different spacings. System design and evaluation methods are becoming more sophisticated with hydraulic design, fertigation. They looked at soil types and the type of crops that they irrigate. In terms of micro irrigation in India, that you might be much more acquainted with, the Indian micro irrigation potential, you can see the total irrigation is 72.17 million hectares, with micro irrigation making up about 15.8%. So there's still a small portion, but with the vision of the government and implementation, they would like to increase that to a much higher percentage. So the irrigated area, 65 million hectares. The net area sown is 141 million hectares. And you'll see the area covered under micro irrigation with drip, 6.11 million hectares, and sprinkler irrigation, 6.79 million hectares. So the current status, you see the different countries or areas. Maharashtra is 7.3% of the area is penetrated with micro irrigation, where that's been applied with the highest, Haryana with 16.3%. So the country in total is only standing at 5.5%. So the net irrigated versus micro irrigation area in the different areas, you'll see the irrigation area there in Maharashtra is 3169, and of course with micro irrigation that is 8,980,000 hectares. And different crops. There's a total of 65 different crops that are grown on micro irrigation in India, with the potential, area potential of micro irrigation of the different crops, cereals, pulses, cotton, right through to the spices that can be irrigated. Cane Agro integrated drip irrigation system in Sangli, Maharashtra, with the supply of the water. This is one system, block 19 hectares, and the total area of 815 hectares. Most probably are acquainted with this system, with subsurface drip, and 85 hectares per million cubic meters of water. So you can see how much more can be irrigated with drip irrigation, and with flood only 40 hectares per cubic meter. This is an example of one of a big irrigation project by Jain, where they are irrigating 12,000 hectares, different zones, which they've developed with a total infrastructure, resource development with automatic web-based system that communicate with the wells, applying the water at the different areas from the reservoir where the water has been taken through the water sump into the project, and applying the water in field for the different areas to be irrigated. So smart irrigation, of course, there are new, innovative and emerging technologies or solutions in irrigation, to name but a few, augmenting and improving water supply, improving water use efficiency, and managing water demand and maintaining irrigation systems. And the future is, of course, digitization and process information into digital format by generating a series of numbers that can be used for food production improvement, from the planting right through to the farm management system, with your field sensors, your irrigation nodes, with your weather maps, soil information, farm performance information, seed optimization application. So saving water on a large scale. Today, agricultural automation is closer to the world of the web. The new control unit allowed to have a total remote control through the web via PC, tablet, or smartphone, allowing the farmer to keep under control his own plants without necessarily being on the ground. Smartphone, of course, has become a real remote control tool, allowing opening and closing of valves, operations, and or anomalies checked, activate or stop established programs and generate new ones. All this with a considerable reduction of assistance cost and perfect digitalization of processes that become more precise and efficient. To show you one or two new technologies, mobile drip, where drip irrigation has been combined with center pivots. So that is called the mobile drip system. We got a number of them in South Africa, where a pivot will be fitted with drip lines, and with your soil analysis, you can apply then variable rate irrigation, applying the right amount of water where it's needed, and you modify the pivot with your control units and applying the dripper lines certain length. You can see the length in terms of the dripper lines. It is not the normal dripper line as we know it. The length you can see there for a pivot up to say 400 meters. The dripper line, when you operate at 100 kilopascal, is in a region of about 9 meters, with the drippers 150 millimeters spaced. And then, of course, in terms of your application, you can see how the system is operating, pulling it through the field, and then only that strip is being irrigated. Of course, you have to plant your crop in rows, but that apply the water precisely where the crop is needed. There's a dripper line, how it's been applied, and then, of course, the growth is magnificent and water saving is imminent. Then another technology is what we refer to as a drip performance meter, where you can actually measure what's happening in the field. So digitally measure flow rates of drippers individually and how even the water is being delivered. So you can measure 25, statistically that's the minimum amount, and that provides then vital information. At the moment, worldwide, it is done manually, but with this apparatus, by the press of a button, it will immediately tell what is the liter per hour in the field of the dripper. After you have tested 25 drippers in the field, you can then determine the average liters per hour. You can determine the coefficient of variation with the classification, and you can see whether your system is still performing according to the standards. And if it is outside that standards, you need, of course, to do maintenance and to see how you can rectify the delivery. So there's different switches, and then, of course, with the drip system that you apply, and there's the results. There's a SD card that you can take out, put in your computer, and you can then calculate what is the total amount of water delivered with the CV. So then the last technology is green drum technology. If the drippers are blocked, normally phosphoric acid or other methods are used. This is innovative technology known as green drum technology, which uses ultrasound in a small body of water to effectively and quickly clean drip irrigation lines. You can see the dripper lines put through a bath of ultrasonic sound, and it will clean the pipe. And you will see there how the dirt and the manganese and iron oxide deposits will then be cleaned out and bring it back to an acceptable CV. This is a dripper that has been taken out. You can see as soon as you put it in the water, how it will clean it with the ultrasound. There's the old dripper and the one that has been cleaned with the ultrasound technique. And this is available. If there's any entrepreneur that would like to take this up, they can talk to me. And then just concluding remarks. Technology play a vital role in micro-irrigation today in terms of what the farmer is confronted with, but also what we as designers or planners are confronted with. So there's even a number of exhibitors next door where you can visit and see what technologies they have to offer. And in terms of the way we are developing is towards utilizing drip more and more over the world. So in conclusion, drip irrigation success depends on the correct choice, optimal design, and proper operation and maintenance practices to effectively ensure that available water resources are utilized effectively. I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Felix. A very nice, scientific, and very, very informative speech presentation with full of colorful photographs and videos. So now house is open for the question answer session. Anybody? Yes, question.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Nice. Your presentation, you have globally captured all the data, mostly in Africas and China's. And also you have focused majorly on the Africas for the pure irrigations and subsurface irrigations. But I think so it is possible only in the Africas because they have a large scale of farming. They have a large scale of farms for subsurface irrigations. We are in India here. Basically, I should introduce from myself. I am Vikas Tengle. I am from one of the biggest, largest sugar industry, Bhima Shankar Sahakari Sugar Factory, Ambegao. And with me, we have our Honorable Chairman, Mr. Pradeep Dada Walse Patil. So we have just understood one thing that if subsurface irrigation is going to be biggest, play a vital role in Africa and China for sugarcane, because they are taking more than 8-9 rounds of rotation of sugarcane. Is it possible to adopt this technique, this system in India? Like we have a small marginal land. And if it is possible, what will be the roadmap to adopt this system? And what will be the impact of subsurface irrigation over the drip irrigation only for sugarcane? Because we have only 1 crop or 2 crop of sugarcane in 2 years. So can you please highlight on this? Thank you.
Well, some of your question, can you maybe keep the microphone a little bit further away from your mouth that we can just hear the question clearly?
One minute, Felix. Felix, I will tell. His question is whether this subsurface micro irrigation is suitable for small farms or the drip irrigation in India. Because in India there are small sugar farms. In India.
Okay.
If it is possible, should I repeat the question? If
No,
it is
absolutely. No,
Okay.
they explained. No, it is absolutely possible. In South Africa, we also have small areas. The one that I showed was 12,000 hectares, but there are areas of 5 or 10 hectares where they also utilize a pump with subsurface drip irrigation successfully. But of course, in terms of root penetration, that is a problem where they have to put in Teflon or other techniques to prevent the roots from coming in. And of course, in terms of harvesting, in some cases, the farmers still burn the biomass. So then they have to take out the dripper lines before they burn, and then they will cut the cane and then process it and then put the dripper lines back again, yeah. But it is very possible, absolutely.
Ek minute. You can discuss during the lunch break because Shinde sir will help you to connect with him. Okay. Now next question. Anybody from audience? There is enough time. You can discuss your question with lunch time also. Anybody? Yes, please.
So can you elaborate on green drum technology for water cleaning ultrasound? The last thing you said in this presentation was green drum technology to clean the water and the
To clean the water?
green drum technology you were referring last part of the
Felix,
presentation.
last slide you were presenting the green drum technology. What is that he is asking? Green drum technology. Yeah. You just explain what is that.
The green drum technology, that is a ultrasound that's been used. So it is, if the dripper line goes through the water, which is the medium, the ultrasound will penetrate or go through the water, through the plastic, and it will clean the dripper line perfectly to an excellent CV again, as it was manufactured. because we have tested all the dripper lines. The CVs are between 2 and 4 at most. But after usage, it deteriorates over time. So as soon as it becomes 20% and higher, then it is no good anymore for even distribution. Then you have to clean it. And the green drum technology is perfect. It's environmentally friendly. And we can discuss afterwards. This is an innovative principle. And I think there's a huge potential in India for using that type of technology.
Thank you, sir.
Any question? If there is no question, we will move to the next speaker. May I request Dr. S.A. Kulkarni, who is the consultant, World Bank Aided Project and former secretary, Maharashtra Water Resources Regulatory Authority. And he will speak on the upscaling drip irrigation for sugarcane in Maharashtra.
In brief, I will introduce Dr. Suresh Kulkarni. He has more than 40 years experience. He worked as a former secretary, Maharashtra Water Resources Regulatory Authority, and he is a consultant for World Bank project. He has published more than 70 technical papers, contributed some chapters in books, and he has visited 15 countries. Now I request him to present.
Yeah. Honorable Chairman of this session, Dr. Patil sir, other respected speakers, and fellow delegates, very good morning, namaskar. I'm not going to speak about what is drip irrigation, and because it's very well-known technology, even among the farmers. Because drip irrigation has penetrated in India, particularly in Maharashtra, during last 30 to 40 years. So I would like to talk more about the policy aspects of this, being a water resources person, because yesterday we heard a lot of, presentations and from the top policy makers about the sugar industry. But I was little, there was no mention about the water in the whole discussion, whole debate, which is very, very important for states like Maharashtra. So if you can see the Maharashtra growth, very rapid growth, if you see from the 1960 onwards, almost every 20 years, the irrigated area has been doubling every 20 years. So last 23, we had a huge area, 14 lakh hectares, that is 1.474 million hectares. That is the area we had, as per the records available. And if you think that if this same rate continues, so maybe in 2040, we may be likely to have 25 lakh hectares under drip sugarcane. We don't know if the rate of adoption remains same. So this is really a matter of concern when we think that we are upscaling the sugarcane cultivation is increasing. So we have to think about the other natural resources availability in the state. If you see this, how many farmers are using this sugarcane in Maharashtra? So there are 1.63 crore, that is 163 lakh farmers in Maharashtra total, out of which it is said that 30 lakh farmers, 3 million farmers are using sugarcane, cultivating sugarcane. That means only about 1/5 of the farmers, 18% of the farmers are cultivating sugarcane in Maharashtra. Okay. And just to understand the significance of water You must have heard that we are talking a lot about climate change. So there are a lot of events are happening. United Nations had last year a big conference on water, and climate change is nothing but its impact on water. It has really distorted the hydrological cycle of the whole global hydrological cycle, and which is very important. And you are aware that UN sustainable development goals, there are 17 sustainable development goals and 169 targets, out of which sustainable development goal 6, which relates to water, and particularly 6.4.1 talks about the global water use efficiency. I think this is very, very important for us to study and understand. Globally, it is being now discussed that what is the outcome, what is the contribution of water for each unit of water you use in different sectors. So we have 3 major sectors: agriculture, industry, and service sector. If you see this map itself, it shows, is the latest map, that the red areas, which includes India, our water use efficiency means cubic meter of water used, that is per dollar. That's what it is measured. Okay, US dollar per cubic meter of water. Then we fall in the last category. Less than $10 included in that. Mostly developing countries, least developed countries. Other, you can see blue, Australia, or European countries, all European countries, they have very high water productivity, high water use efficiency. Per unit of water, they are producing much more wealth than what we are doing. If you see just the figure here, Bangladesh overall water use efficiency is $7.1 per cubic meter of water for all across the sectors: agriculture, industry, and service. While its use in agriculture is $0.84 per cubic meter of water. China similarly $25 it is generating. In agriculture 2.1. India is $2.93 per cubic meter of water, but while in agriculture we are very too low. 0.44 per cubic meter of water, that is what the water efficiency or water productivity, economic water productivity of Indian irrigation sector or water sector, you can say, particularly in agriculture. Simply, if you can just say, because there is data is available for 166 countries. If you see the UN SDG website, you will have all this data available. South Africa, 13, overall is very high. But I don't know, I can ask the Dr. Phyllis here that why it is low, 0.11 behind India. Okay, so it is very interesting to study the water use efficiency in terms of revenue generated, wealth added. That is very important. In future, whole world is looking to that. I think we also in India, we to also think in this manner, how to increase the wealth from the water. If you see this now, we are talking about the sugarcane. This is a big water consuming sector in our Maharashtra. Will be specific for the Maharashtra. So in Maharashtra, we have about 22.5 lakh hectare under drip irrigation. So we have to understand, we call micro irrigation for sprinkler and drip together, but internationally, drip irrigation is micro irrigation. Okay? So while at the same time, total sugarcane area is 14.3 lakh hectares. That means 16% of the area is under drip irrigation. Of the total drip irrigated area in the Maharashtra, only 16% is under drip irrigation, sugarcane. And if you compare sugarcane area, which is 14 lakh hectare, 25%, that means 75% of the area need to be brought under drip irrigation. That is a challenge. And we have different figures, academics, universities have been working, many research institutions, and there are a lot of data is available as how much water is applied to sugarcane by conventional surface method and drip irrigation. There's a lot of debates. I don't know where who has measured, and at least I could not find any authentic document on the measurement of water used by the sugarcane. So it is said that surface irrigated, what is called flood irrigated uses from 19,000 cubic meter to 28,000 cubic meter per hectare. Because if you measure for groundwater, for canal water, where you measure? At the field head or at the canal head? That makes the difference. So I think we should be very specific when you are saying that how much water is used by the sugarcane. It should be a location specific. You say at the farm applied. How much water is applied, that is what it should be standard, not just at the canal or where it is. Then a lot of research available. Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith has done a lot of research. And they say that 12,000 to 15,000 cubic meter per hectare is the water requirement. That means we can save at least 50% of the water. That's what the conclusion from these studies. Now let us see how much water really the sugarcane is using. Because you know this, I have worked in Delhi, internationally also, and there are a lot of criticism for the Maharashtra, that Maharashtra uses a lot of water for the sugarcane. It's a water guzzling crop. A lot of water is diverted for sugarcane. See what is really we can see. So irrigated area, surface, from the surface sources, that is from the canals, rivers, etc., it is about 28 lakh. I'm telling the latest figures, 2022 figures. And groundwater estimated, there is no record of groundwater area measurement, irrigated area in Maharashtra. It is about 30 lakh hectares. So altogether in Maharashtra, we are irrigating 50 lakh hectares. Of course, it will vary from year to year. But this is 2022 figure on an average. So out of this, how much sugarcane? Surface method 10.1 lakh hectares, drip 3.55 lakh. That means 13.6 lakh hectares are being under, that means 24% of the area under sugarcane. But if you see the irrigation water use, surface water use is 25 billion cubic meter, abja ghan meter jala म्हणतो आपण, 25. This is what the water used from the canals, that the reservoirs and from the rivers. Where a groundwater use is about 15 billion cubic meters from groundwater. We have more than 30 lakh wells in the state. So it is about 40 billion cubic meter. And the share of water used by sugarcane, both surface and groundwater used, is 27 billion cubic meter, which is 68% of the water, surface water and groundwater, used by sugarcane alone. This is a very conservative figure I am putting before you. It could be more, not less. So we have to think that how much water we should use for sugarcane. Now, the next question comes. Does drip irrigation save water? This has been the larger debate. I think Felix Render was part of that. FAO has worked a lot on this. Drip irrigation saves water. And now there are a lot of documents are available. And now I would like to, without going much detail, because it's a long debate, I say, yes, it saves water. In real terms, in absolute terms, if we restrict the area of expansion, okay? No, it will not save water. It will be only paper saving if we extend the crop area. Because in Maharashtra, we are talking political level that we want to bring all 14 lakh hectares, whatever, sugarcane area under drip irrigation. What will happen because of that? We are able to expand the area. But we are not saving water. We are using all the water available for extending the area. That is not a real saving. It is a paper saving. Okay? So in many countries, like Spain, I know that they are government putting a restriction that we are providing a lot of financial help to modernize irrigation projects, provided you don't increase the area. Area should be same, but the per hectare water requirement should reduce. so that that water can be used for other sectors. That is what the philosophy. That is what the policy the other countries are doing. Now, absolutely, we want to bring all sugarcane area under drip irrigation. There is no doubt about it. Now, what are the initiatives by the government of Maharashtra? The Maharashtra Water Resources Regulatory Authority, where I work there, there is a law, there is an act that making, drip irrigation is mandatory for perennial crops. And especially we are targeting sugarcane crops. That was mentioned in 2015, and it was supposed to be brought by 2018. But unfortunately, there is nothing. Nothing is happening actually. In that, although there is an act to make it mandatory to use drip irrigation for sugarcane, then there are a series of government regulations. I will not go for all these things. That every government, agriculture department, all department wants. They have a strong will that all area of sugarcane should be brought under irrigation. Okay. Then recently we have this lot of, at least there are 6 projects like Pokhara, lot of assistance given, Atal Bhujal Yojana, PMKSY. There are like 6 such schemes are there in Maharashtra run by government of Maharashtra. And the subsidy ranges from 75% to 100%. So you can see the Marathwada, which has always been the topic, where there is a drought-prone area. Government has said that we will give 100%, subsidy in Marathwada. I don't know what has happened to that. So we need to really follow up what is happening to all these GRs, whether they are being implemented or not. And then we have a VSI, very global level institution, where you can experiencing things. I am very impressed with their all work in sugarcane. State agriculture institutes, we have 4. A lot of research is being done. And Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapith is at the forefront. We have sugarcane research station, Padegaon. And there are 100+ irrigation companies here, and of which there are 3 world-class irrigation companies in Maharashtra. We are very lucky to have these companies. So this all sort of ecosystem is there for, it's a enabling environment for making, drip irrigation, for upscaling drip irrigation in Maharashtra. So the challenge is for sugarcane. Now, what are the obstacles? Why we are not succeeding? Which, with my own experience, which I'm visiting to many farmers, going to field, discussing with many experts, discussing with the industry people, and I found that these are the constraints, maybe more. High initial investment. Drip irrigation being a close planted crop, it requires 1.5 lakh rupees of investment. And while government is trying to give subsidy, which is limiting to 1.25, 1.27 lakh, this subsidy is given. But what is happening? There is a delay in release of subsidy amount. I talked with many farmers. They say that we don't get subsidy amount within some time, with 2 years long. So this is one of the obstacles, that farmers should get the subsidy within a reasonable time of 3-4 months or whatever, not too long. That should be really. As what is happening, as a result of this, now many people are going for what is called as non-ISI products or non-subsidy products. I talked with many farmers, and they said that they would like to, not to go towards subsidy, but a very complicated subsidy, whole procedure. We would like to purchase from the open market, which has nothing to do with the subsidy. And I found that without subsidy and with subsidy, it is the same cost. Farmer gets 1 hectare of sugarcane without subsidy product for 25,000 rupees. Without subsidy. He goes in the market and purchases it and install it. That's it. So simple. But if he follows MahaDBT, then he has to wait, very complicated procedure. Because he has to pay all the amount upfront. So he takes, instead of that, farmers are more and more shifting onwards. So many countries, I was asking to our friend, Dr. Felix, he said in South Africa, absolutely there is no subsidy. No subsidy at all. So we may think after a year, after 3 decades of experience, how long we are going to continue subsidy? There is a subsidy for irrigation water, highly low price. There is subsidy for energy. Okay? We are subsidizing this. How long we are going to subsidize? Please don't take it otherwise that I am against the farmer. But there should be another policy of investing into infrastructure. Government should invest more in infrastructure, giving more reliable light supply. In rural areas, farmers are fed up with the light supply, electricity supply. Very erratic. Government should concentrate there instead of giving subsidy. Farmers will be happy to have a very reliable source of water, electricity supply. Then there is a task of, particularly in case of sugarcane, you have to remove the laterals. And that is something really tedious job. Nowadays, laborers don't get laborers, and we cannot enter into sugarcane because that type of crop, canopy is there. So this is one of the inhibition for the farmers, which is really holding back. And we need to develop some mechanism to do this. Like subsurface drip, we need to try really subsurface drip irrigation. Why not? He said that one should put it subsurface drip 12 years, nothing to bother about 12 years. So let us try again more for subsurface drip irrigation. Then lack of irrigation extension services. Agriculture department only administering this subsidy distribution. I find when I talk to the farmers, there is not much guidance given to the farmers. So more farmers are ignorant. See, drip irrigation we are using as a very precision agriculture. Unless and until we apply precise amount of water at precise time, we will not be able to harvest all the benefits. So farmers really don't know how much water to apply. Okay? And all these things need to be educated. Farmers need to be educated about this. So these are the things farmers are really inventing on themselves. Because they want to use, because of labor short, they want to use drip irrigation. But I saw some farmers, they have just made their own drip irrigation system, that releasing water at the head of the furrows. And this is okay. This is the farmer's innovation. Some farmers are using for retrieving, this type of things are using. So this type of farmers' innovation are there. And we should, at the research stations, agriculture institutes also need to follow this. Yeah, this type of things, many farmers, when I visited farmers, they don't know the use of pressure gauges. Just pressure gauges is lying there. Nothing is, they don't know how much pressure, what pressure, they have gone out of order. Actually, pressure is the heart of everything there, okay? And you can see all the pressure gauges. Some farmers show, one farmer has kept all this in his house. He said that I have stored, I don't want this filter because it's blocking my pressure. So all this ignorance of the farmer should be removed. Okay, and our agriculture research station, I am not criticizing, but we should be giving the advice to the farmers in the farmers' language. If you should the farmers apply water at 75% of ETC, at least I will not understand how much water to apply. So this type of advisories, this type of recommendation from the agriculture universities need to be in terms of farmers-friendly language. Then only it will be applicable. And way forward, irrigation water is the soul of sugarcane farming and sugar industry. Given the increasing trend to expand the area, there is a danger of over-exploitation of the state's land, water, and energy resources, and social inequity. As also in view of rapidly growing water demand from urban and industry sector, there is therefore a need for bringing out a policy framework. Government should, I am supporting farmers. Many times that I am discouraging farmers. If I am a farmer, I will go for sugarcane, for sure, 100%. But I am asking the government, policy makers, to make a policy. How much sugarcane you want in the state? How much water you want to use for sugarcane? Like that. That type of policy paper has to be developed, framework has to develop. And there is a target now, 1 million sugarcane area need to be brought under drip irrigation. This is the target. And to work out the target, we should have formed a consortium of all agriculture universities, NABARD, VISMA, Irrigation Association of India has to play a big role in this, and irrigation companies to how to achieve this target. That coming 5 years, we'll make all drip irrigation in Maharashtra covered by sugarcane by drip irrigation. This present subsidy disbursement system needs revamp. We have to look, although we are saying that we have MahaDBT, but there are a lot of problems. So we have to see about what other states are doing. Andhra Pradesh or Gujarat, they have special purpose vehicles. We need to really think about that. Can we really do that special purpose vehicle as in mission mode, like that? Then some farmers, I think they should give up the subsidy. Those who are having more sugarcane hectare, 5 hectares more, they should get like gas cylinder. They should say, okay, we don't want subsidy for this. Like that, they should give up the subsidy. The rich farmers should not get subsidy. There is need for bringing down the cost of drip irrigation system. If you remove the subsidy, I think many manufacturers have said that the cost of the drip irrigation will come down drastically. Subsidy is also distorting the market. Then this is last. Extension efforts by the Agriculture Department need to be, increased. I think almost half of the sugarcane in the state is a canal command area. Canal command area, we have to really take care of how to use the water efficiently for canal command. And sugar industries, I am requesting to act as a steward. I think in the irrigation sector, private sector, many companies are coming forward as a stewardship, like Nestle or this Cargill. They are acting as steward for all such natural resources. So sugar industry should come out that we want to protect the water resources of Maharashtra. They should come. They should not see as a third party. They should be part of whole sustainable water resources development for sugarcane. Then sub-commissionerate of sugar should put a model in promoting deep irrigation. They should take initiative how to really make it happen. Then water accounting, adopting. Each industry should have water accounting, adopting right from their field. How much water is used in their jurisdiction by the farmers, and how much water is used for ethanol and urea processes. So that water auditing and accounting procedure should be done by each industry, sugar industry. And finally, I am saying that abandon the zombie idea. Zombie idea, you must have seen, that is given by a Nobel Prize winner from USA, that conversion of micro-irrigation saves water. Rather, emphasis should be given on water productivity. In many states I have seen, like Karnataka, they have removed the word water saving. There is no water saving. We want to increase the water productivity. We want to increase the water yield of the farmers. Okay, this type of changes needed in our policy. That's what I did. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Dr. Kulkarni. I think you have covered everything, including the policy issues. Really excellent presentation, which is particular to state of Maharashtra. And you have put so many questions before us, that water saving versus water productivity, these concepts. Okay. Now floor is open for the question answer session. Anybody is having question, they can raise the question. Yes. Yes, Dr. Bakshiramji.
Thank you, Dr. Kulkarni ji. Very nice presentation. You have covered the ground realities, what is happening with the farmers. One time you said that cost of drip irrigation without subsidy is same. Then where that subsidy amount is going? It is not only in drip irrigation, but it is for everything. And
that will help me, because there is problem of sound, echo. Yeah, but you can come here actually.
so my question is that, first of all, I congratulate for covering the ground realities, what is happening with subsidy. At one point of your presentation, you said that cost of drip irrigation with and without subsidy is same. And in my opinion, this is happening for each and every subsidy item with the farmers. And on record, so much amount is being given to the farmers, which is not actually reaching. So where that amount, subsidy amount is going?
Okay. Yeah. I cannot really reply this. Maybe you know better perhaps than me where that subsidy is going. I think subsidy is not going anywhere. It is, see, I asked one irrigation manufacturer, a big irrigation manufacturer, why these are expensive. Their answer was, when they spend so much of money and if they are required to wait for 1 year or 2 years, all their capital is remain locked. Their services, capital, because they are the business people. So we have to count this. Their business, the money remain locked. If the government releases subsidy immediately, I think the system will be cheaper. But the past experience shows that it is take 1 year, 2 years. Then company also cannot lock their whole money, in this. So that is one of the reasons perhaps that systems are expensive. Yeah, in India. Of course, it is the same cost in South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Please, thanks so.
बख्शराम जी, कुछ सवाल ओपन इसमें पूछना नहीं होते हैं तो आप डिस्कस प्राइवेटली कर दीजिए. ठीक है. एनीवे, नाउ मूव टू द थर्ड स्पीकर, डॉक्टर शाओचुन मा. He is from China. He is associate professor of College of Engineering, China Agriculture University. And his topic is sugarcane harvester technology, a critical overview. I think he will be presenting on harvesting and mechanization.
Just I will introduce Sochan Ma. Dr. Sochan Ma, his specialization is sugarcane harvesting technology and machinery. He has 10 patents. He is a editor for SugarTech and other journals. He has published more than 92 papers. I will request him to deliver his talk.
Okay, thanks for the nice introduction from the chairman. And I'm honored to be invited by VSI for this talk. Hi, everyone. Today, my talk is titled Sugarcane Harvester Technology, a critical overview. Here shows the outlines of my topic. First of all, I'll talk about the background. Sugarcane is the first sugar crop in the world. According to the ISO, I just got some data. The first one in 2022 and 23 season. The global sugar area was 27 million hectares, according to 85% of the total sugar production area. The sugar production from sugarcane in 2022 and 23 is about 182 million tons, accounting for more than 90% of the total sugar production. However, for the sugarcane harvesting, the mechanical harvesting level is unbalanced. We know in Australia, US, the mechanical harvesting about 100%. In Brazil, more than 85%. by machines. In China and India, the mechanical harvesting level is low. I think it's less than 10%. I'm going to introduce two harvesting methods. The first one is called bend current harvesting. The advantage of this method, it can reduce the handling cost. Also, it can improve the pest control. The disadvantage of this method, it can deteriorate the sugar. Also can make pollution for the environment. The second method is called green cane harvesting. The good news for this method is can conserve the water and the soil. It also can help control the weight and reduce the pollutant emission. The disadvantage of this method, it can affect the harvesting efficiency. The second advantage, it can increase the harvesting cost. Here shows the two harvesting modes. The first one is the whole stalk harvesting. There is the whole stalk harvesters. This harvester, compared to the chopper harvesting, it has a simpler structure, and the operation is more convenient. The disadvantage of these machines is challenging to handle the bend currents. The second disadvantage is hard to dealing with the large canes. For the chopper harvesting, the machines is kind of complicated, and it has uniform chopped pieces. We call it billies. So it can increase the sugar deterioration. For this mode, the machine is more efficient. The disadvantage of this harvesting mode, it can accelerate the sugar deterioration, and it has juice loss. So, what's the current technology for the mechanical harvesting? First of all, the first procedure is base cutting. Most researchers and scholars from universities and other institutions, we are working study on the mechanical properties from the stalks and the leaves. We can get the mechanical characteristics of different components of the sugar canes. We found the factors affect the cutting quality. You know, sugarcane is a perennial grass, perennial crop. If the base cutting quality is not good, it can affect the next year's yield. So I'm going to talk about another harvesting mode. It's called stepwise harvesting mode. For the combined mechanical harvesting, I'll put all the procedures together. For this mode, we separate the base cutting, the leaf removing, and other procedures. This kind of harvesting mode is very good. It's very used to apply to the hilly area. Also can be applied to the small sugarcane field. So here shows the small or portable base cutters in China. Several machines are commercialized right now. For this blue one, it's designed by my group. This one can be cut the sugarcane stalk automatically. We can use a remote controller to control these small machines working in the smaller field. Here shows the leaf removing equipment. There are smaller ones, portable ones. Here shows the big ones. This one, the processing capacity can be up to 30 tons per hour. So here shows the new technologies in recent years to apply for the sugarcane harvester. The first one is a yield monitor program. A lot of companies, researchers, scholars use different types of the sensors to monitor the yield of the harvesting sugarcane. Also, auto-gallons system can be equipped in the harvester. The technology for the auto-gallons system is GPS-based, also machine vision-based. In nowadays, the AI technology also applied for the current harvester. Here shows another technology. It's called the base cutter profiling control system. John Deere and CNH, they have their own commercialized products. They use the ultrasound sensors